Good day, everybody. My name is Rich Lewis, and I'm with the Education and Training team. And welcome to R-Factor training. You might be asking yourself, what exactly is R-Factor, and how is it going to affect me personally and professionally? Well, today I've been graced by both Shannon White and Judson Ivy to answer those questions for you. As a matter of fact, let's jump right into the first question. Judson, this question is for you. Tell us why you believe R-Factor is so important.
I think R-Factor is important because, as we've all heard, you can't control what happens in your life, but you can control how you respond. The issue there is that we're never really taught how to respond, and we don't always stop to evaluate what our options are. So the great thing about R-Factor is that they're going to give us some options and a process or a system and structure to think about how we respond to the events in our life. Because we can't control the outcome, but what we can do is control our response. And I think that we all want the same things in life. We want to be successful. We want our family to be safe. We want security and well-being. And many times we look at our situation and we say, how come I'm not getting the outcome that I want? And many times that's due to the responses that we have chosen to take at certain intervals in our career and our life. And what I love about R-Factor is that this is not just applicable at work, but this also teaches us how to be a better parent, a better spouse, and it's super exciting to be able to share this information with our associates and leaders, and I'm very hopeful that it will have an impact on our lives.
And Shannon, same question. Why is R-Factor so important?
You know, R-Factor is important because it gives you a systematic way to learn how to deal with your impulsive behaviors. Events are going to happen, right? Leadership, home, disruptions in daily life. We may have flight delays. We may have someone who just didn't do what was expected that causes us downstream work, etc. There's going to be an outcome on the other side of that. But how we react to that is going to determine what we learn from that. So I think that R-Factor, right, I know R-Factor is going to be able to provide us a systematic way to look at how we handle our responses. Someone like me, I'm very impulsive. R-Factor, I use it as a system to, first of all, pause, get my mind right, and then learn how do I want my reaction to be to this event that's happening so I can have a desired outcome. And I learned that when I don't use R-Factor, I have this impulsive behavior that sometimes does not have a good outcome for not only myself but others around me.
Shannon, tell us about a time when you failed as a leader and you could have used R-Factor to better that situation.
Failure, that's been common in my life. I mean, I think if we're not failing forward, then we're not growing. So trying to pick one failure to talk about is difficult for me, but I have one that comes to mind that was, I think, very personal in nature as I began my leadership career. There will be times that you feel like you are working for a leader that is not worthy of you. And I had that at one moment in my career. And I say one moment, I probably had it at others, but this was a specific failure because it caused a lot of downstream hurt. I was very young in my career as a leader. I had not yet learned that when you forward a calendar invite from Microsoft Outlook, you are actually the originator of the Outlook request will get your response. I had a leader that I did not favor working for, and she had sent a meeting request for what I felt, again, was another way for me to continue to do her job for her. And I forwarded that meeting request to my peer group and said a lot of hurtful things about my leader in that request. Thank goodness that I had a CFO at the time that was a very strong but yet stable mentor for me, who instead of terminating me on the spot, called me in and explained that when I have issues like that with a direct leader, I need to have a sit-down, mature conversation about this is the way you make me feel, rather than being impulsive and lashing out via the email like I did. I walked in the next day to my entire peer group going, do you know what you did? I walked into a leader in which I thought my job was going to be terminated, and thank goodness her leader calmed her down and said, we're not terminating Shannon. She just needs to be refined and she needs to be taught. One could say that what I learned dearly out of that was not to forward Outlook requests, but I would suggest to you that what I learned was that nothing can replace pausing, getting my mind straight, and sitting down and having an active conversation with my leader on why her actions or why her behaviors were not benefiting me at the time and my feelings and my future growth as a leader.
Same question to you, Judson.
Well, there are a number of times I've failed. One of the most impressionable times in my life is I was a new business office director for a very large health system. I was 25 years old and had my mind set from day one that I wanted to get Business Office of the Year. It was an award the company gave out for the most highest performing hospital within the company. And I took an approach to say, we will do whatever we've got to do to get this organization to that point. And along the way, in my first 6 months of this new career, I kind of built a reputation by being known as a hatchet man, that purely focused on how to get the results. And there were many things that occurred along the way that I chose a response that probably was not geared towards success, that worked against me. And so during this process, I went on vacation for a week and I came back, and there was clearly a feeling in the room of my staff like something had happened but I wasn't in it. You know, that feeling where you get where there's silence, awkward silence. And I came to find out that all of the 100 staff members that we had at this hospital had kind of bound together, gone to my boss and said, hey, he's on a rampage to achieve this award, and we feel like it's his award and not ours, and it's he's being mean and not fair and not reasonable. And it really hurt my feelings because I felt like we were trying to all work towards that. But I took a step back and said, at first I was angry, and I took a step back and said, how do I look at this in a positive light? And that's hard to do when you're personally hurt. And how do you choose a response when the first response is anger or sadness? And to this day, there's an employee that I had, and she was about a 70-year-old person that had been there 30 years. And she really didn't need to work on a daily basis. But she enjoyed doing what she was doing, and she came to me on her own and said, hey, I want to let you know I'm here to support you, and we want to get where you want us to be, but we also want to know that you care about us. And that employee still to this day, almost 20 years later, still calls me randomly, sends me cards. And that was a pivotal moment in my career where I got to say, look, I can work towards very lofty goals, but I have to care about people. And also, my response to the things that come up in your career, which there will determine how you, the outcome and how you see that forward. And as I look back on that situation, I say, you know what? I could have retaliated. I could have been angry if they had gone to my boss, and I could have said to the employee who came to me, I don't want to talk to you. You betrayed me. Instead, I think by two things. I was young, and so I attribute it really to the grace of God that I was able to listen to her and say, this person doesn't have anything to gain by talking to me other than just sharing her wisdom as a 70-year-old person. And I think it was amazingly beneficial to me. So I think R factor, earlier on in my career and even to this day, I could have made better outcomes if someone had kind of taught me how to choose my response better.
So Judson, what can our leaders actually expect from today's R factor training?
I hope you really enjoy the R factor training today. And apply it in all areas of your life. I can tell you personally that it's helped me at home with my wife and children, because many times I thought they were the problem and it was really how I was responding to them. So I think this is a great tool for work, but it's also an excellent tool for a home life. So hope you guys have a great time today and take away something positive.
I would echo that as well. I think R factor for me has helped me realize that not one style and not one approach works for everyone, and that you have to tailor your response based upon the specific event that's happening and the individuals involved in that event for the most successful outcome. So I agree with Judson, use it everywhere, because our factor is not just about how we behave or how we look at each other during the normal workday. It's about how we look at each other in life in general, with our public, with our community, with our churches, etc. So enjoy the day and look at it yet as another investment in you.